Easter is 4 weeks away, so here are 4 easy DIY decor ideas that won't break the bank. Starting with this wood plank from Dollar Tree, I'm going to stain it using this craft gel stain in walnut. And if you've never used craft stain, you just brush it on like paint and wipe off any excess. And while that dries, I'm going to use the egg shape canvas in this kit for the next layer of this sign. I found this beautiful floral print fabric at a secondhand craft store, and I'm going to use it to cover the egg. So I cut roughly around it so that it would wrap around the sides of the egg onto the back. But before I cover the egg, I am going to add this cute little bunny that I cut out of iron-on vinyl. I'm using my mini heat press, and I'll put any press times and links to all the images I'm using in this video in the description. I used the egg to help center the bunny on the fabric and pressed it in place. Once that was set, I cut some of the excess fabric, and then to adhere the fabric to the egg, I used some Heat and Bond, which is a double-sided adhesive meant for fabrics. There is a rough side that goes on the back side of the fabric, and it just takes a couple of seconds to activate the adhesive with heat. Now I'm using my heat press, but you can use an iron for this. Once that side is set, and again removing any excess, we've removed the paper backing of the Heat and Bond to reveal the other adhesive, which will adhere the fabric to another fabric if you like, or onto the canvas in this case. And I'm using my Teflon sheet just to protect that iron-on vinyl while I press the fabric in place. Now before wrapping the fabric onto the back, I cut some slits in it all the way around the egg to avoid bunching of the fabric, and so it's nice and smooth on the sides. Now that the wood plank is dry, I'm going to add a stripe down the center using some acrylic paint and masking tape for nice clean lines. And I'm just brushing sideways along the tape just to avoid any bleeding under. And I love a good clean tape peel, so enjoy. Now once this is completely dry, I'll add 2 more stripes along the sides. And the final step for this adorable sign is to attach the egg to the plank, and for that I'm using some hot glue. I think this one is definitely my favorite of these 4 projects, but let me know in the comments what color fabric you would use for this sign. This next decor idea is super simple and no fuss if you have a Cricut. I printed this gingham pattern on cardstock. The design is from Creative Fabrica, and I just opened the file and clicked print once it was downloaded. They have so many other color options to choose from. Now here's a project I set up in Design Space, and I can link to that as well. So I have 4 sheets of cardstock that I use for all my letters, and it's going to spell Easter blessings and make a cute Easter banner. And I just use my Cricut Maker to cut all the pieces out. I did also add some holes to the top of those bunting pieces, so I wouldn't have to worry about punching any holes. The machine did all the work. I did add an offset to the font I used so the letters would be nice and pronounced, And to attach the letters to the bunting, I'm going to use some foam tape, which you can find at Dollar Tree. This will give the banner a little more dimension and the letters will really pop. Some macrame cord to hang these, and it's a nice pop of color on my mantle. Project number 3 is a hanging sign, and the base is this wood round. This is 10 inches, and you can get these in multiple packs at a craft store or online. Another floral print fabric that I cut to the same size using my Cricut, along with another piece of heat and bond to secure the fabric to the wood. Now again, I'm adding an iron-on image, and this cross image is from Design Space, and I love it because this is the true reason for the Easter season. So I added the iron-on design to the center of the fabric circle, and again, I'm using my mini heat press to press that into place. Now for this design, I also added the words Amazing Grace in a black iron-on vinyl, which I layered onto the bottom of the first image. I then followed the same steps as the bunny sign to add the heat and bond to the fabric and then to the wood round. Now to finish off the edges of the wood round, I applied some rub and buff, which I love using to give signs a finished look. But I didn't love the fraying edges of the fabric on this, so I added this wired garland I had on hand and used hot glue to tack it into place. I love that this resembles the crown of thorns, which is perfect for an Easter sign. Now the fourth and final project is cute and fun, and we're going to do a little sewing. Using that same yellow fabric from the bunny sign, I'm using my ruler to make a mark at 0 and 6 inches at the top, and then at a 1/4 inch away on either side of the 3-inch mark at the bottom. This does not need to be perfect. You can make it as big or small as you like. So I then took those marks and connected the top to each bottom point, making a triangle shape. And I did just cut the shape out with my fabric scissors. Now I'm going to neaten up that top edge by folding it to the wrong side at about 1/4 inch, and then I will sew along this edge at a 1/8 inch seam allowance. Now once that is sewn down, I'm going to fold the triangle in half lengthwise and sew along that open edge. And my seam allowance here is just shy of 1/4 inch. And I did backstitch at the start and finish. Now we have a tube, and I'm going to turn it inside out. And the bottom part of this is a little finicky because it comes to a point, but it doesn't need to be perfect. Again, you really want it to be a little rounded anyway. Now for the fun part, I use some batting to stuff my carrot. You could also use cotton balls here, fabric scraps, whatever you want for this part. And once the carrot is all stuffed, I am going to hand stitch the open edge to cinch it closed. I believe the stitch I'm doing here is called a running stitch, but correct me if I'm wrong. But be sure to leave a tail at the start and end to pull it closed. You could also just skip this step and use hot glue to close the top, but I like the look this gives. Now a carrot needs a top, and I found this boxwood pick at Walmart and thought it was perfect to create the look of carrot leaves. I cut one stem for each carrot, created an opening in the center of the batting, and pushed the stem into place. And that stuffing holds it in there pretty well. Now, time to cinch and tie some knots. And how cute is this fabric carrot? I have 3 sitting in a bowl on my coffee table. Let me know how you're decorating for Easter and watch the video on screen for more inspiration.